I'm probably just into postponing this or whatever. I set it up a bit ago. I'll tell you way later anyway, so I'll probably just do it later on today or something. So, or not. Somebody's already here. Weird. But yeah, we're on prom where I live now as well. Cause it's the same place. But in the '90s, we had this fucking wannabe loser group of assholes running around, like killing people's pets and fucking destroying historical landmarks in the area, and they yeah, there's a lot of story to it or whatnot, and the story continued long after the leaders and the members were sent to prison. Oddly enough, so it's like they kept. I want to say they, but it's not really like they, but it's more like this one person, aka God, is what he called himself. So that's why they uh, talk about it being a cult and everything often or whatever. It's because of that guy, Kevin Foster, who liked to call himself God. Like I said, that's his nickname, the fucking cult. And believe it or not, I can't remember exactly how long it was, but like right before I started got like married and stuff, a couple years before actually, when I first met my soon to be wife slash now ex-wife, she lived on a road called Muskegon, and the road next to Muskegon was called Lorraine. And I kept having, well, not really me, mind you, because I don't even think I was living there at the time. I was just visiting often, but kept having trouble or whatever with these bunch of fucking redneck assholes or whatever. Uh, of course, other than the few idiot friends, nobody thought much of them at all. So it just ended up with a bunch of pointless fights here and there between either me and one of them, or um, yeah, there was like a small group on our side, small group on their side, kind of thing. So it wasn't that big of a deal or whatnot. But I knew they didn't like us because we came from North Fort Myers, which back then, I know it sounds kind of dumb. It's like each high school had a different reason to like not like the other one. And at the point when I first started these things happening, I had just graduated from North Fort Myers High School. Well, Kevin Foster and his little hoodlum little fucktards, they all came from Riverdale. Mind you, most of this time I actually lived closer or about the same distance from Riverdale as Kevin Foster and all them did. But I don't know if it's because if you're poor, you get, what do you call it? I guess it's like a weird kind of segregation or whatever. But apparently we weren't too poor because we didn't get sent to the urban ghetto schools. But we weren't well off, so we didn't get sent to the rich, white, rednecky kind of schools. So we kind of got in the middle there, and we got shipped off to the white urban ghetto kind of area schools. Which I don't know. Honestly, I think I got the good end of the deal when it comes to that. So Actually, like my middle school, and the high school, honestly, was fucking awesome. So, but yeah, we had a claim to fame. Basically, Deion Sanders graduated from my high school. So, and in the same year that Deion Sanders graduated from my high school, also, if you know anything about baseball, Mike Greenwell, Major League Baseball player, he also graduated in that same year. But then again, so did a serial killer and my stepdad. 1981. Deion Sanders, Mike Greenwell, Paul Klein, and my stepdad were all class of 1981 in Fort Myers High School. Well, these guys were always like fucking together. Either that or they were. There was a couple of older kids or whatever. I think there was two of them. Kevin Foster was. I'd say he was about 4 years older than me. So yeah. So basically, he was just hanging out with a bunch of kids and stuff. And it's one of the things that everybody used to, point out. Like the girls he would go after were girls that were still in high school, underage, and all this other crap. So we would get on to him and talk shit and all kinds of other stuff to try to piss him all off. And Kevin Foster's mom owned a pawn shop up the road, which not only gave them access to funds and stuff, but vehicles and a lot of fucking guns. So for a while there, it was a little touch and go back and forth. There's a lot of drive-bys and shit in the area. It still said that quite a bit of them were probably done by the Lords of Chaos themselves. Now, I'm sure if you've ever heard the phrase before, the Lords of Chaos, most people would know it by um, a writer, a Swedish writer, I guess, borrowed the phrase Lords of Chaos to use on his Varg Vikernes and Euronymous and the Black Satan, black metal fucking Satan, Swiss, you know what I'm talking about? Them weirdos in Sweden, but burning the churches and all kinds of other stuff. And this all happened, I want to say, I think it was before all that black satanic stuff in Sweden did, but I guess that was probably going back a couple of decades. But around the same time as when I think churches and all that shit were getting burned down in Sweden and whatnot, like like thousands of year old churches just getting fucking torched. And yeah, I guess they got it into their heads or whatever that they started wanting to cause some problems around the local area here. And I think at first they were just like vandalizing stuff, buildings, etc., etc. And I guess they were stealing for fun. And then one night, see, there's a road that's about 6 miles down the road from me, which seems far, but it's 2 roads away, honestly. Yeah, not even. No, actually, I can get to Buckingham just by going down Tice or Tice to Orange River. There you go. But yeah, okay. There's a restaurant kind of thing that's still open to this day. It's called the Hut. Now, the Hut was like one of those tiki bar kind of like restaurant kind of pub, not pub, but like one of those nice outside places where they put the trees and shit outside and you drink outside and da 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 da. You know, basically a bar that serves food, I guess. And the like mascots for the bar was these two big ass macaw, I think parrots or whatever the hell the macaw is. And I guess Kevin Foster and all them is when they started upping their game or whatever. They uh, they drove by or rode by or something, and they heard sounds coming from the place known as the Hut. So they pulled in, and one of them apparently thought the animals they heard were fucking monkeys. which is, I don't get how you're mistaking a macaw for a damn monkey, but okay. Mind you, these guys were not. Yeah, in fact, one part of the story is a local reporter telling everybody just how dumb and retarded these guys are, and they got really mad about that. But yeah, we'll wait on that. Well, they set the tiki, the hut or whatever, on fire, and one of the macaws were killed in the subsequent blaze. The other one was able to escape. And it was at this point that these assholes were just like, dude, let's just like go paramilitary, blah, blah, blah. Like, as I said, these are like, how do I put it? They're not nice people. So the only times I ever had to deal with them is literally when they're out there trying to mess with my then fiance or whatever, or her sister, or some other local person or whatnot, because that would happen a lot. They were quite a bit racist at the same time, so they would often start stuff with the Hispanic and the other minorities of the area. And most of the time we were told to leave them the hell alone because, like I said, they had quick and easy access to guns on a regular basis. 1 second. Oddly enough, I was even contemplating doing this on the computer and asking my ex-wife whatever to join me, since she would actually know them a lot better than I would. Basically, the only run-ins I had with them is literally showing up in my car to beat somebody up. No joke. But apparently, she told me that she lived next to this asshole Kevin Foster for like 8 or 9 years. I guess he had tried to pick her up and everything else. And mind you, my ex is like a year or two younger than me. So if Kevin Foster is 4 years older than me, and my ex is almost 2 years younger than me, that would mean she's 6 years younger than him. He was born in 77. He was arrested, I believe, in like 96. That would have made him almost 20. So that would have made her like, yeah, he was trying to pick her up when she was like 14, which is creepy as fuck. But if you're wondering, the avatar or the thumbnail on this video is one of the famous, infamous pictures of Kevin Foster himself playing with one of the many guns that his mama got him a hold of. Well, they started running around vandalizing churches and stuff like that in the area. I'm not sure if they were imitating like the Swedish death metal scene or whatever. I mean, anything's possible. Yeah, my stepdad, he's got a CDL, so he does a lot of driving and stuff, or at least used to. He doesn't so much, I guess, anymore, the massive trucks. And at one point, he was working at a very historic monument to the area. It was this massive, made out of red brick, Coca-Cola bottling company plant. And this place was about the size of a castle, and it really stood out because it was like really old school, massive, and it was made out of red bricks. Nothing around it at all was, anything like it. And it's like stuff like that you start getting, because okay, for example, the same county where I am now, and where the Coca-Cola bottling plant was, Lee County. There were two museums here. One is called the Edison Winter Estate, and the other one is called the Ford Winter Estate, because this is, oddly enough, where I think it's Gerald Ford, I don't know, whichever one wasn't the president, when they made the car. And I think Goodyear was also here too. The guy who made or invented Goodyear tires was their buddy, so he had a house out here. Thomas Edison had a house out here, a winter estate, mind you. And Ford also had one. And these are all now museums and stuff for each inventor, yada yada yada. I'm kind of shocked at the time that they didn't go after one of those kind of places because they're all made out of wood and stuff. You would think they'd go up like a damn match. But I guess thankfully they didn't. Well, I don't really believe or like Edison or whatnot. Oh, it's just like the winter states are pretty actually nice. They take pretty good damn care of them for them being as old as they are. And what they had done, the Lord's Chaos had stolen, I guess, the night before, 10 or more propane tanks from a local gas station. And yeah, we're talking about the full ones. Kind of like the ones you have on a barbecue grill, I guess. And attached to the propane tanks was a Pepsi can. Yeah, you heard me right. It's a fucking Pepsi can. Filled with, to the brim with gunpowder. And then the Pepsi can had a 25-foot long wick from fireworks stuck into it. And after setting everything up, Kevin Foster and the Lords of Chaos, that is also what we call them here, went across the street to Lions Park and sat at the picnic bench, waiting to see what happens. And sure enough, there was a massive explosion around 3 o'clock in the morning or so that literally blew the entire bottling company, which had now been closed and retired and made a local landmark, but it was destroyed and blown to pieces by that explosion. So yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, sarcasm. At this point, because of the McCalls and the bottling company and other stuff, what was it? One of their lower ranking loser members or whatever, his mom had been made called like a stick up bitch or something like that by a local, what is that shit called? Cafe owner. Um, so two of the members, unbeknownst to the guy who was the landlord of that mother, was carjacked, I guess, and robbed. And they didn't know until after the Lords of Chaos were actually arrested that it was them who had done that too. He wasn't hurt or anything, but yeah. Right now, I'm going to tell you, I guess, a little bit more about the Lords of Chaos. And they had about 4 core members. Trying to remember names, just a second names. It was Kevin Foster, aka Kevin Bates, Pete Magnotti, Chris Black, and to be honest with you, I can only remember the nickname of the last guy. I think they called him Mob or whatever. And he was like a slightly a little bit bigger guy, so no big deal. But underneath them were, I'd say, with other than the core members of the Lords of Chaos, there was between 6 and 8 younger guys. These would have been still in high school kind of guys or whatever. That were only basically there because they wanted to look cool and hang out with the older kids and yada yada yada. I really can't remember most of their names, to be honest with you, because it's not like they were never really there long enough for any of the crimes for them to be worried about. And I do believe that it wasn't really a kind of a cult or whatever, because I highly doubt anybody worshipped Kevin Foster. In fact, he's a fucking joke. When you get a chance, you probably should look up his rap sheet or whatever, not his rap sheet, but his mugshot. At least the last one. Before I can tell you on, I'll give you a little bit of an update of what's going on From what I do know, at least most, if not all, the members of Lords of Chaos have been now released from prison, except for the big piece of shit, aka Kevin Foster. For the crimes that I'm about to start telling you about here in a second, he was given the death penalty in the state of Florida. And once again, he tried to repeal that sentence as of last year. And the governor and the board and all that other stuff denied it. And what was it? As I said, there's more yeah, even it, yeah, give a screw. Play Mountain stuff. You'll understand why, because there's two parts coming here. One, oddly enough, came long after Kevin Foster and his comrades with the fucking prison, or what you're about to hear about. It's like right when you think a story's over with, you haven't heard about it for damn near 10 years or more, and you think to yourself, well, if I ever hear about them assholes again, it'll be just to hear that they got tried or whatever, by the execution, and that's what we figured on. But apparently, yeah, no, Kevin Foster found a way to keep coming back in the public eye. Well, I always thought it was because of robbery, and I still think it was because of robbery. But apparently, they broke into their former high school. At this point, I think when the break-in of the school did occur, that there was at least 10 members of the Lords of Chaos that were there that night. Yeah, at least 10. While they were there, they broke in. They were stealing random bullshit items. So, I mean, based on the items alone, I'd say that maybe their goal was to do the vandalism and not stealing, because they were just taking these weird ass items. Why am I talking to myself? Who am I supposed to talk to? But yeah, as I was saying, Kevin Foster, he had a bleach bottle full with about, yeah, it was full to the brim with gasoline that he tried to toss into the window of the high school to light fire in the place. For whatever reason, the device did not go off. And I think also they um, made a bomb and they set it inside of a Walmart here in Fort Myers. And they kept calling into the people that worked at the Walmart to let them know, hey, there's a bomb there that's going to go off. But they kept getting hung up on by the employees multiple times because nobody was taking them very seriously. But at some point, apparently somebody did, and they found the subsequent device, and police were called, and the place was evacuated, and all this other good shit. Oddly enough, the same Walmart appears in another true crime tale about this area. The serial killer Paul Klein used to work there, and one of his suspected victims was an old homeless man that lived behind the Walmart. But yeah, in the process of what they were trying to do at Riverdale High School, they ended up getting caught, basically loitering the area, which, basically the next day they would have been really up a shit creek without a paddle, because plain and simply there was a witness. The guy that caught them was the music teacher, Mark Schweebies. I don't know the guy or whatever, but he seemed like an alright guy. But as they all got in trouble and made to leave or whatever, one of the members, I think it was Chris Black or whatever, told everybody else, "No, man, tomorrow's a school day. I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm gonna get in trouble. That dude's gonna die tonight. He's gotta die tonight." And well, sadly, that's exactly what happened. They went through all the phone books and stuff to try to find Mark Schwebe's phone number. They could not find it because it was unlisted. But using, I guess, the operator or whatever, they were able to get a address for a Mark Schwebe's in the area, for which they also got a number for, so they called that up. And upon doing so, they heard his answering machine message go up, and yes, it was Mark Schwebe's. They were able to recognize the voice. So what happened next was, because he considered it a smooth bore weapon and didn't think that would help the police figure out who they were at all or who had done it, and there would be no ballistics, which is untrue, mind you. They set it up to where by this point all the other members had gone home. There was only your four core members, the Black Mob, God, and I forget what the other idiot's name was. It was determined that Kevin Foster would be the one to take the shots, and another one of the members would, I think it was Chris Black was driving the getaway car. Shoot. Pete Magnani knocked on Mark Schwebe's door to get his attention. Kevin Foster stood about 8 to 10 feet away from the door with his Mossberg 12 gauge shotgun pointed directly at the door itself. And that last fucker, Mob or whatever, was in the car playing lookout with Chris Black. Well, when Mark Schwebe's opened the door because it was being knocked on, right upon opening the door, Kevin Foster, damn near point blank, I think by that point he was about 6-7 feet away, shot him point blank with the Mossberg shotgun in the chest. And I guess since it was buckshot, some of the pellets bounced up and hit him in the face and everything. And it was said he was dead upon impact. And because Kevin Foster thought that Mark Schwebe was homosexual, he also shot him in the buttocks, but he would have already been dead by this point. So, yeah, senseless violence. Yay. At some point, after weeks on end of not much tip wise, because of another arrester, but not one of the lower ranking guys, but not did let the police know who killed Mark Schwebe's. So they started questioning those guys, and basically all 3 out of the 4 core members of the Lords of Chaos, whatever, didn't. They all snitched on Kevin because Kevin was the one that shot him. And Kevin was furious because he got snitched on or whatever. There was a trial, obviously. They were convicted. The other 3 core members were given subsequently a lower amount of fucking time compared to Kevin Foster. They actually, I think they each got around 20 years or so, if I remember correctly. I'd have to check it real quick in a minute. While Kevin Foster himself, he got the death penalty. But oddly enough, the story doesn't change. But at least we get to have it a little bit of a happy ending at the end. As I said, Kevin Foster had already been sentenced to death. He was still filing many appeals, and thought to himself, "Hey, I can if I can get rid of these witnesses that are testifying against me. As long as I do that, I can might get out of prison. This, that, and the other." And that was his magical plan. So more than 10 years, I do believe, after the initial murder of Mark Sweeties. While Kevin is sitting there on fucking death row, he starts being contacted by a down and out writer that used to work a lot of big stories and stuff for big magazines and newspapers. And the guy wanted to do a story on them. And apparently, from what I remember, right, I'm going to have a little follow up tomorrow probably and pull out the computer and play the video from that as well. Because, like I said, this was a little long ass time after what happened to Mark Schwebe's. I do believe it was around 10 years, maybe even more after. The other three core members were starting to get ready to be paroled or go up for parole. So, of course, Kevin Foster was fucking furious. And he wanted nothing more. Some say that he had a chance of getting out of prison if he did accomplish this because uh, maybe they were trying to give him a new trial or whatever at the time, but all of this caused that shit to fail in the first place. But no one's ever really doubted it. Everybody knew who doubted this. And so Kevin Foster tells this down and out writer guy, he's like, what I need you to do is I need you to go find me a hitman. I need a hitman. So go and find me a hitman. And my mom is going to pay you to pay the hitman. And the writer guy, he's contemplating back and forth, like, should I do this? I'm going to make money off of this if I do it. Yada, yada, yada. And smartly, I guess, depends on who you think or who you ask. But yes, Kevin Foster's own mother, the one that used to own the pawn shop at the time, I think came up with like $50,000 cash and handed this to the writer guy, who was supposed to use this money to literally hire a hitman to kill up the three core members of the Lords of Chaos that were getting out of prison or whatnot. He took that, I guess, the proof of whatnot to the area police or the sheriffs. And the sheriffs, I do believe, set up a sting or whatever so they could record himself because they wanted more than just Kevin Foster this time. They wanted the mother too, because as I said, she was facilitating the soon-to-be homicides as far as they were concerned. So, yeah, long after he was already on death row and waiting for his death penalty and everything else, Kevin Foster got attempted murder charges, and I believe his mom also got attempted murder charges if she didn't get conspiracy to commit murder charges. One of the two. I do know Kevin Foster, for the second charge, was given the attempted murder charge and convicted for it. I really wouldn't call him a cult. I'm not sure whether he called himself God. Um, yeah, they weren't a cult. They weren't anything big deal or anything like that. They're just some losers, fucking. And I guess you would say that Kevin Foster was who's that guy that does the back in Dazed and Confused? I think it was. I forget the hell who plays him again. But the Lincoln Lawyer guy. And there's just an asshole who's wanting to bang underage chicks, hanging out with a bunch of kids and all this other shit. And he just couldn't stand having his authority freaking contested by anyone. And the violence escalated and stuff upon a article in the local newspaper, and not even the big one, a little small paper, mind you, basically called these vandals and shit a bunch of idiots, the lower intelligence and all this other stuff. And they were about to send a manifesto for the entire group um, to, I think it was like the tax collector or some shit. But they had decided not to because they didn't want to be stopped in the future plans of what they were planning. And yeah, this is just one of the lovely things in my area or whatever. And yeah, I know nobody's watching. I wasn't hoping anybody would be watching. Just testing the audio, and I'm probably gonna make this into some sort of video or something. I haven't figured it out yet, but I sure I will if I feel like it. And this is just one of the millions and millions of fucking psychotic, crazy crimes that happen in my county. Just like the Deadpool killer, Wade Wilson, Jeffrey Seiler, Arthur Good III, Daniel Owen Conahan, the Hog Trail killer, Paul Klein, Popeye, and there's still many, many, many more cash being money murders. Yeah, this place is notorious. Right down the road, we have two unsolved homicides where they can't find the bodies. The last person to see both these both victims was a deputy sheriff of the entire county who has never been charged to this day. The families tried to go after him in the wrongful death lawsuit, but since they can't find bodies, the lawsuit would not be allowed to be put forth. Another day we'll talk about that too, the hog trap killer and everything else, because all of these events all tie together in its own little way, even though the crimes themselves were not connected to each other. Well, it's already leaving up as it is. Yeah, have a good night.